Hey English 112, Ms. Brewer here for your final lecture video for this very fast holiday course. Congratulations if you guys have made it to this point. It is not an easy thing to complete all of this work in such a short period of time, particularly around the holidays. I'm going to go through week 5, part 2, and I'm going to go through your final exam. So essentially December 23rd through the 29th. In this last 6 days of class, absolutely nothing can be turned in late. So if you turn in something late, it will not be graded. So make sure you turn your things in on time. Don't email me and ask me for an extension. I can't do it. Just like you guys have the holidays, so do I. So I have specific times carved out to make sure that I can grade your things and get them complete, and still be able to enjoy the holiday season, which I hope you have done the same. Make sure you make a schedule and schedule yourself your time to complete your assignments, and schedule yourself your time to enjoy your family and enjoy, whatever it is that you celebrate. So real quickly, I'm going to go through all the things that you have to complete for the rest of the semester, for the rest of the class. So you guys have turned in your literature reviews, and you can expect those to be graded. Let's see, when did I schedule myself to grade those literature reviews? On the 24th in the morning, so that's my intention. December 24th that morning, I intend to grade those. And you guys will be working on putting everything together into a nice little pretty package of all the things that you've done for this particular class. So you guys are going to be, if you'll just open up with me, the business writing PowerPoint assignment details. This is your final project for the class. So you can open up that course lecture and just follow along with me. You guys, the purpose of this assignment is for you to create a presentation for the class to review, to teach us about a social justice program that pertains to your social issue that you researched for your literature review. So you're going to have a list of organizations that you can use, and you can also do a Google search and find your own organization if you choose to do that. But you are going to find an organization that addresses the issue that you researched. So if you researched homelessness, you're going to find an organization that addresses homelessness. If you researched, as I gave an example, racial inequity, maybe in the criminal justice field or something like that, then you may choose Race Forward, or you may choose something that pertains to law and criminal justice. If you wrote on gender inequity, then you might choose the National Organization for Women, but you're going to go ahead and choose an organization, and the purpose of your presentation is to teach us about that organization. Now, in order to do that, you'll need to make connections to the things that you've done previously in the course, but that's the purpose, is to teach us what does this organization do and how do they assist with this issue. So I'm going to give you guys a URL, and you can choose an organization from that list, or you can choose an organization of your own if you do a Google search. You'll note that it says that you need to submit a journal, and I approve it. However, this is a quick class, and so for the 5-week class, I remove that journal. You do not have to be approved. You just go ahead and work. And I will just trust that you'll find an organization that makes sense. So I don't have to approve your organization for the 5-week class. You guys just choose one and get to work. So the audience is your classmates. Of course, they won't see it in this class, but I will grade it. And the idea here is to teach your peers about the organization, your issue, and the things that you've done in this class. So one thing that you will have to do is connect everything. So in this presentation, you will need to teach us about the issue, connect it to the poetry, and then tell us about the organization. That's kind of the setup of your presentation. Some basic information: your slideshow must be researched. Helpful hint, you've already done the research, okay? So when you teach us about the organization, you're just pulling like what you've learned from the literature review and sharing that in the presentation, all right? Giving us some background on the issue. And then in regard to the organization, you will scour through their webpage and present to us a little bit about them, their mission, their goals, and then what do they do, okay? So they have to do something to address the issue that you've researched. Just a couple of things. Your documentation should be in APA format. So we're going to be using business style writing, which there's a lecture in here, and I'll quickly go over that with you. But all the documentation will remain APA. What that means is when you use your poetry, you will need to change those citations to APA format, and make sure that when you create your citation for the website for your organization, that is an APA format as well. There's a rubric, so make sure you kind of review that rubric, and there's also a slideshow requirements. I'll go over that with you guys as well. Also, make sure that you review your PowerPoint for grammar and things like that. That's really important. So I'm coming back into week 5, part 2, and I'm just going to open up the business writing basics. This is a real quick overview here of business writing. Normally in a 16-week class, we spend a little bit more time on this, and there's a writing project that students do that's like a cover letter resume thing. We just don't have time for it. So, but you will see some questions on your final regarding business writing, and I do want you to use this style, even more abbreviated than this style, for your final presentation. So something to be aware of: when you write an academic essay, you are, writing to a particular audience, a particular level of education. You're able to use, more in-depth, flowery kind of academic language. When it comes to business style writing, you need to be prepared for anybody at any academic level to read it. So it needs to be much more to the point, short, concise sentences. It needs to use shorter paragraphs, so we don't want really long paragraphs. So you don't have to worry about that because you're not writing anything yet. But just so you know, if you were to write a business letter, a cover letter for a job, or anything like that, you want your paragraphs to be 2 to 4 sentences, not longer than that. You use very plain English, simple sentences. You are concise but not brief, and that's really important for your PowerPoint too. You need to get across the most important information to us in the PowerPoint in a very concise manner. We're not even writing in complete sentences for most of the PowerPoint, but you still want to get across the information. So utilize these kind of hyperlinks, understanding tone, particularly conciseness and wordiness. Utilize those and review your PowerPoint with those to make sure that you are doing that in your PowerPoint. So what will you see on your final exam from business style writing? You will need to know the intention or the purpose of a memo, a letter, and an email, so that a memo stays in-house, right? It's just something that you send to the organization. It's not published for the world to see. Letter goes outside of the business, and then of course mostly we use emails. Even for memos now, we mostly use email for that. There's email etiquette here. You should already know that by now in this class. So really you just need to know those 3 styles of writing: the memo, the letter, and the email. And then the other thing you need to know about business style writing is ABC format. So you will organize your business letters in ABC format. And that does not mean alphabetical order for business style writing. That means that you write an abstract, which you should understand the abstract and the purpose of an abstract from the things that we've already done with your annotated bib and your literature review. So the abstract is like the introduction. It's just a brief overview. It is, the shortest part of your letter. It might be very, very short. If you only have a 1-page letter, it might be 2 to 3 sentences, and it overviews the intention of the letter. The body, depending on how long the content is the longest, but it's still not very long, okay? A couple of paragraphs and a couple of short paragraphs. And then of course the conclusion wraps everything up. So ABC format in business style writing stands for abstract, body, conclusion. Okay, you'll need to know that. There's a little video here you can review on how to write a business style letter if you would like to. I'm gonna go back into week 5, part 2. So you will see the link for the social justice organizations. You can open that up, and that's where you can choose your organization. You can actually click on the links and it'll take you to their webpage, or you can do a Google search on your own. That's fine, as long as it is an organization, not just like a webpage. An organization, the webpage is for an actual organization that does something for your issue. So open up PowerPoint expectations, which is the next lesson. So when you create your PowerPoint, and you will submit a Microsoft Word PowerPoint, that is what I accept in this class. There's a couple of things. First of all, we are using business style writing. So things that you can do, you can use personal pronouns. Don't overuse them, and don't really use you, right? But when you reflect on why you researched your topics or things that you've learned, you can incorporate I in that. You're allowed to use contractions. You're actually encouraged to do so at this point in time. And you do not have to use complete sentences. You mostly should not use complete sentences. One thing you want to follow is the rule of 7, and this will stop you from writing in paragraphs on your PowerPoint because you don't want to do that. So the rule of 7 that you need to follow for the PowerPoint is no more than 7 lines of text per slide, and those lines of text cannot be more than 7 words long. You don't have to write in complete sentences. I don't want you just copying and pasting from your literature review, copying and pasting from the website. I want you synthesizing that information and making it more concise. So that's really important. You're going to provide some background information and teach us about the issue. You're going to connect the issue to at least one poem from the course, and then you're going to teach us about the organization. Okay, so you need to have a title slide. It needs to be an APA format, think title page. And then give us the background information from the issue, okay? About 4 to 6 slides of background information from your literature review. Again, you are synthesizing. Please don't just copy and paste it. That's really important. If you feel the need to incorporate a quote from your research, then that quote should be the only thing that's on that slide, and it must be cited parenthetically in text. Then I want you to make a couple of connections to the poetry. I would encourage you to quote the poetry here. And if you do that, again, it should be by itself, or you maybe bullet 1 or 2 things just to analyze that or make the connection. But again, if you're quoting the poetry, which I want you to do, I want you to put a parenthetical in-text citation on that slide in APA format for that poem. And then I want you to get into teaching us about the organization. So tell us about your organization. How does it deal with your social issue? If you want to include their mission and that type of thing, and you want to quote it, you can quote it, put it in quotation marks if it's a quote, and it should be by itself on the slide with an APA formatted in-text citation, okay? Otherwise, don't copy and paste from their website. So the only thing I'm letting you quote is their mission statement, okay? If they have a mission statement. If you want to give us background, 1 slide of background, and then talk about what they do. All right, you do need a references slide, and it should be an APA format. Don't worry about hanging indentations. It's kind of hard to do in PowerPoint, but just make sure that you have spaces in between each source. So your PowerPoint is due on Sunday, December 26th. There's a student example here of an APA 7th edition PowerPoint. I'm really quickly going to talk about it. So I'm just waiting for it to open up here. So you can see that this person did the National Immigration Law Center. Most likely their social issue was immigration. They probably, this is from the class where I read a novel called Americana, and it's about immigrants, okay? I don't think any of our poems are really necessarily about immigration. Well, maybe Lady Liberty. Anyway, so you can see the first slide has all of the information from a title page. Again, the purpose of the PowerPoint presentation is about the actual organization, so that should be the title. They give a brief introduction. They're using bullets, all right? They're citing in text. I will tell you that some of these are longer than 7 words per line of text, and they probably lost points for that. And then you can kind of go through and just click and see what they have. They're using very bulleted things. They have quotes from Americana. That's the novel that they read. They have 3 different quotes, and then they get into teaching about the organization. You'll see that they have a picture from their website, and if you use a picture, you need to make sure you cite that parenthetically. So when do you need to cite parenthetically in the slideshow? A picture, a direct quote, or data and statistics that you're pulling. Make sure you put a parenthetical citation. They teach us about the goals of that organization, their beliefs, and then what do they do? That's very important, okay? And then they have their references slide. So that's the overview for your final PowerPoint. And then really for the study guide for the final exam, guys, it's not that big of a deal. Go back through the Moodle course, open up any course lectures, read through that information, go through your notes, all right? Know that you're gonna be asked questions for the literature. I'm not gonna ask you specifically about poems and their themes. I'm gonna ask you, how do you analyze a poem? How do you determine a theme? What is a theme, okay? That's the kind of questions you're gonna see from that. And then the difference between APA and MLA formats, the difference between academic and business writing, and then the purpose of things. What is the purpose of a thesis? What is the purpose of an outline? Okay, that's the kind of questioning you're going to see on your final exam. So make sure that for Sunday, December 26th, you turn in your social justice PowerPoint and your course reflection journal. And then your final exam will open up on December 27th, and it must be complete by December 29th. And make sure you get that done. You have an hour to complete the final exam. The final course survey is optional, it is ungraded, and for question number 8, you have to specifically tell me an assignment that you turned in that you would like extra credit added for completing this survey. If you guys have any questions about any of this, make sure you shoot me an email and I'll be happy to address them. I hope you guys have had a wonderful holiday season, and hopefully you got something out of this very quick 5-week class that you can take on to your future classes. I will check in with you guys, never, but email me if you have any questions.